Most Christians picture the afterlife as a simple elevator ride. You either go up to heaven or down to hell. But if we look at every single verse in the Bible that mentions what happens after we die, that simple two-door system shatters. We actually find a complex map of 7 distinct spiritual dimensions. Tracking where the Bible places the dead today reveals they occupy intermediate holding dimensions. This leaves the final destinations, the lake of fire and New Jerusalem, effectively vacant, waiting to receive their first inhabitants. To find where those inhabitants are right now, we have to start at Dimension 1, Earth. We often treat this planet as exclusively human territory, but our physical reality directly overlaps with a hidden spiritual space. We share this planet with at least 2 groups of invisible beings. First, there are angels, ministering spirits deployed by God to deliver messages or carry out missions. And then there are demons, fallen angels operating under the authority of Satan, wandering the earth to influence and disrupt human life. Grasping how the physical and spiritual interact right here on earth is the only way to accurately track the journey a human soul takes once the physical body gives out. When people died in the Old Testament, their souls didn't go to heaven or hell. They went to Dimension 2, a place called Sheol in Hebrew. You can think of Sheol as an enormous, temporary holding cell for the dead, waiting for a future day of judgment. This animated diagram illustrates Sheol's structure. A massive chasm divided it into 2 zones. The faithful were held in a place of comfort, called Abraham's side, but those who rejected God found themselves in a zone of fiery agony, waiting in torment without relief. Humans weren't the only ones confined to holding cells. While some demons roam the earth, others are restricted based on their actions. Scripture describes a specific group of spirits who crossed a hard line, such as the fallen beings who reproduced with human women in Genesis. For those uniquely rebellious spirits, God created Dimension 3, the abyss. It functions as a dark, bottomless quarantine vault. The demons held here are heavily chained, barred from ever possessing or tormenting humanity again. That vault remains sealed until the events of Revelation. There, a demonic king named Apollyon is given the key to the shaft. When it cracks open, hordes of imprisoned demons pour out like locusts in a cloud of thick, furnace-like smoke to unleash 5 months of torture on the rebellious world. Sheol and the abyss are not the end of the story. They are strictly temporary prisons, holding souls and fallen angels in wait for the next phase of the biblical timeline. Dimension 4 is paradise. Initially, the physical and spiritual realms overlapped perfectly, allowing God to walk with mankind. But human sins severed that overlap. The dimensions pulled apart, guarded by angels, transforming paradise into a purely spiritual realm locked away from earth. That barrier held until the days between Jesus' death and his resurrection. During that window, Jesus descended into Sheol to proclaim his victory over death. He informed the faithful souls that the debt of sin was paid and their time in the holding cell was over. He opened a pathway and relocated those believers into the second spiritual form of paradise. When a Christian dies today, their soul travels immediately to join them there. Eventually, the resurrection serves as the trigger that clears these temporary realms. This event pulls every soul out of these dimensions and places them back into a physical form to face their Creator. This marks the end of the era of disembodied souls. God merges every person's spiritual self with a newly created physical body, preparing them for their final destination. That resurrection follows 2 distinct paths. Believers receive restored, glorified bodies, while unbelievers are resurrected specifically to face final judgment for their earthly deeds. Those found guilty face Dimension 6, the lake of fire. Jesus often referred to this place as Gehenna, invoking the image of a burning trash dump outside ancient Jerusalem. It is a realm of absolute destruction, defined by deep despair and unrepentant anger. While we often associate this location with human punishment, the lake of fire was originally built to permanently quarantine Satan and his rebellious demonic forces. At the end of the age, it becomes the site of a total cosmic cleanup. Rebellious humans are cast into the fire along with Satan and his commanders. The empty dimensions of Sheol and the abyss are also thrown into the flames. And finally, the power of death itself is destroyed. The lake of fire acts as the universe's ultimate incinerator. It permanently removes sin, rebellion, and every corrupted holding realm, ensuring they can never spread to taint reality again. With the corruption cleared, we arrive at Dimension 7, the final form of paradise, created specifically for resurrected believers as a brand new earth. Notice how these circles behave in this animated diagram. God brings His presence directly down to us, causing the spiritual and physical dimensions to fuse completely into a single unified reality. As this new unified sphere expands to become the entire map, all boundaries disappear. A heavenly city, the New Jerusalem, settles on the physical earth. There is no temple and no separation, just unrestricted, face-to-face access to God the Father in a perfect physical union. The biblical story ends with the total restoration of the body. Every person's afterlife is defined by their relationship to the Father, ending in either a physical eternity spent in His presence or a physical eternity spent in total isolation.